Our meeting now, it shouldn't take too long, but we very much wanted to have an understanding of our education, health and care plans. Obviously, it's one of our most important areas of work, especially where it brings the council and the CCG and health together. So, we were very interested, in how this was doing. One of the things that we thought we would do, because we kind of a little bit pride ourselves on this committee by just talking to people about what they think our services are like, not just talking to the experts really. So what we've done is we're looking at Albion Primary, City of London, Bosco and Voices of Autism. And what we were going to do is we were going to ask for people who would volunteer for us to track their experience of the HC plans. And then we could have, the idea is that we have a round table now, and then we go back and actually talk to people about their experiences, and then we come back together before the end of the year and just basically have a look. Are there any recommendations? Is there any way that we can improve? Anything that's working brilliantly, not working? So that's really the approach that we've got. We're really pleased to have so many people here this evening. So I wondered about how we take this forward. It might be a good idea, because we're actually live streaming, for us to say who we are. And then, Nina, if you'd wanted to open up a little bit and then people just say a little bit about their area of expertise on this, and then we'll open the round table. Does that sound okay? Okay, well, do you want to start introductions, and we'll go around?
My name is Lynette Murphy-O'Dwyer, and I'm a co-opted member of the committee from the Archdiocese of Southwark.
Martin Breckman, co-opted from Anglican Diocese of Southwark.
My name is Sunil Choki. I'm an independent SCN consultant person. So I've got a range of experience working with local authority, schools and parents as well. So I met you a couple of months ago.
Yes, I invited Sunil. We were at an autism day, and I was just really impressed with your understanding of the subject, and he's an advocate as well, so we invited him along too. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Rosie Schimmel. I'm a councillor in East Dulwich Ward.
And I'm Julie Kimball. I'm the project manager for this committee.
I'm Jasmine Alley, the chair and councillor for the Lane Ward.
I'm Councillor Catherine from Rotherhithe Ward, and my daughter is autistic and she has an EHC plan.
Thank you.
My name's Carl Eastham. I'm a councillor in Chaucer Ward in Southwark, and incidentally head of MFL in Gloucester.
Councillor Catherine Rose. I'm a councillor for College Ward.
Nina Dole, Director for Education, and 1/3 of the EHC plans sits in the Education Directorate through the SEN team, and so this is why there are a number of officers here this evening, because as we talk a bit more about the EHC plans and the purpose behind the reforms, it is about joint working across agencies. So I'll let the officers introduce themselves.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Ronnie Lee. I'm head of sales on the education side of things, but the AHCP process sits within my team.
Okay, brilliant.
I'm Shirley Walker. I'm head of service for children with disabilities on the team. I'm Bridget Nicole. I'm the designated clinical officer for special education needs and disabilities. So I'm from the CCG Health.
Kate Morris-Baker. I'm the Director of Quality and Achievement at CCG, and Bridget sits within my directorate as well, Sam sits in the CCG.
Okay. We've seen you before at Scrutiny, haven't we? Many times, Kate. Welcome back.
My name's Helen Poynton. I'm the head teacher at Dulwich Village Church here in London School, and I'm also chair of Southwark Heads, the primary heads, trying to get them to meet together and discuss issues such as we might discuss tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. Okay. Over to you, Nina. Okay.
So we did send in advance just a brief sort of outline to what EHC plans are.
Yep.
One of the things that we'd asked about was how education, health, and social care link in together to create those plans. So I'm going to let the officers do the talking around that.
Yes. Sounds good.
So I'll hand over to Yvonne.
Okay.
I think one of the things that I might do is give you a bit of a brief overview as to what we think's going well and to what we think are the challenges, and then bring in social care and health to say their bit about it as well. Is that?
Yeah,
that
Sounds really good.
Okay, so if you did get the brief paper, the Act and the Code introduced a number of themes. There were sort of 7 themes that were introduced. And the first one of those was making sure that children, young people and their families are involved in all the processes, and that co-production with families should be at the heart of everything that we do. So taking that theme, from the strategic side of things, parents have been involved all the way through everything that we've done from the beginning to now. So PCC, the Parent Carer Council, were involved on the strategic boards right from the beginning and still are, so they're still sat with us there. So we feel that we've been able to work with the PCC and later the consortium, so there's a parents consortium now, where all interest groups meet together as equal partners at the table with us to try and develop processes. So we've been as kind of open about that as we can and tried to involve them in that. So they've been involved in designing the local offer, for example, in the assessment processes, in the plan, and latterly setting up the consortium. Young people, you might know there's a youth local offer, which Cara Jones has developed. Numerous science projects that have been around working with young people, like sending the experts, change makers, that sort of thing. So you've probably heard about some of this before, because I think Cara's been to see you already. So on a personal level, that's the sort of strategic involvement of parents and young people. On a personal level, we've sort of been working on the developing of one-page profiles, which is the young person putting on one page what's important to them, what their aspirations are, and trying to link that into the EHCP process. We've tried to work on Section A of plans, which is the bit that's all about the parental input and the young person's voice. So we've tried to sort of make sure that that voice is heard and comes through strongly in the plan, so aspirations and goals are reflected, and it helps us to form the outcomes from that. So that's sort of first theme that's there. The second theme was about the assessment by all agencies leading to an outcome-focused plan. So the things we think that are going well there, the assessment's supposed to be done in 20 weeks, and nationally, you've probably, you're all active members of scrutinising these things, you will know that's been an issue. In the first year of plans being in place here, we struggled with that. We really struggled with hitting the 20-week deadline. That's got better. Last year, for all the cases without valid exceptions, we managed to hit 100%. So that was pretty incredible. I mean, I'm still quite shocked that we managed to achieve that. But that was pretty amazing. This year we've dipped a bit. We're going to probably end the year about 85%. But valid exceptions obviously go alongside that. So that's the ones that don't have any exceptions on them. And in terms of our transfers, we had to transfer 1,500 statements to plans, and the deadline is next March. That's been very challenging. Nationally, lots of authorities are nowhere near hitting that deadline, but the DFE sent us a one-liner saying, we think you're going to do it, and we think we're going to do it, just. We've got around just under 200 to do still by the end of March.
Okay.
If we're looking at quality, the new plans, I think, are high quality. Parents rate the process very highly. Transfer plans have not been quite so perfect. So where we've transferred from a statement to a plan, we know the quality has been less good because you're not looking at necessarily new assessments. You're looking at what you've got there to, what you've got already to develop the plan. And also some young people have been in the system quite a long time, and that's quite hard at the end of being towards the end of your time in something to have a new system come on board. So we know the transfers are a bit of a challenge, and we can talk more about that. So the third theme was around developing a local offer. I think Cara's come and talked to you quite a bit about the local offer, but we do have a comprehensive local offer, easy to find. You could Google it now on the phone. Southwark Local Offer will come up and show you all the services that are out there for young people with SEND, and those of which you can get free, those which have eligibility criteria and so on. So Cara's done a load of work on that. Again, it's been developed with parental and young people's input, and there's a youth offer that runs alongside that. The fourth thing was that we should be involved in joint commissioning. So my other colleagues are going to talk a bit more about the joint commissioning side of things when we get to that. But we do have a partnership commissioning team in place. We've got the bare bones of that in place. We've made headway. We've got Bridget here, who's our dedicated clinical officer. She'll talk a bit more about that. And we've got a very sound multi-agency panel. But there's still a long way to go with that, and we know that. So the fifth theme was around making 0 to 25 provision. Previously, the provision was sort of 2 to 19 under the old, you'll know this as a SEND consultant, under the old system. But now we have to stretch down to 0, up to 25. That has been a huge challenge. I think the 16 to 25 is probably the hardest part of the agenda nationally. We've made headway with that. We've got colleges working with us better than they did at the start. They were totally befuddled by the whole thing when this started, but they're a lot more on board with it now. We've got an agreed pathway now for SEND leavers going into employment, which we're going to be publishing soon. So things are moving on that, but it's been hard graft. The sixth theme is around personal budgets, which we've got a policy and application process for. Shirley will talk more about personal budgets. I think we're selling ourselves short because we haven't incorporated all the social care personal budgets into EHCPs yet. So we've got more personal budgets out there than what the data, if you look at LG Inform, than what that will tell you. But in actual fact, we've got quite a lot of those. I'll talk a bit more about that. So I think our major challenges, so that's going through the themes, that's where we are with everything. Our main challenges are increased volumes. We've gone from 1,500 statements in 2013 to over 2,000 EHCPs with the same budget. Only increased by inflation, which isn't very much, and with the same workforce. So that's a big challenge for us. It's a big challenge to administer it well. It's a big challenge to deal with the pressure on the workforce issues that causes, and of course on the budget. So that's something that we're working with. Joint commissioning, we'll talk about in a bit more detail in a minute, and meeting outcomes. I mean, we've had a lot of work done on developing outcomes, making sure they're smart and everything else, but actually meeting those outcomes for young people and ensuring some of the things you've been talking about, that they go from doing well at school, which you've heard about, to doing well at college, to getting a job. And that's the tough bit. Finding a home, living independently, having friends and relationships, all of those things that are really important. So the sort of long-term outcomes. I think we'll stop there actually. I'm going to pass over.
No, it's good, thank you.
If that's enough of an overview, I'm going to pass over to Bridget from the sort of health side of things.
Hi, so as said earlier, I'm the President of Community Officer for Special Education and Disabilities. So I work for Southwark CCG. We're fully committed in the CCG as partners around the table, and Kate, our Director of Quality and our Chief Nurse, provides strategic leadership for SEND. And provides assurance on our health compliance, our CCG compliance with the statutory framework. So we have joint working arrangements in place between the local authority and us to support this process, and this is supported by, as Yvonne said, a partnership commissioning team and overseen by Children and Young People's Commissioning Development Group that in fact we all attend and feed into. SEND is a priority in the clinical commissioning group's commissioning intentions for children and young people, 0 to 25, and that's reflected within our commissioning strategies and plans. Part of the evidence of our commitment to the SEND agenda is very much reflected in the investment that CCG have made. We've got my role, which is the designated clinical officer, but we're also very fortunate to have a designated medical officer who's based at Sunshine House, our Child Development Centre. I report directly to Kate in the CCG, and our designated medical officer sits in our health provider service. What that manages us both to do, we work together, but more of my focus can be around those older young people as well, because paediatricians who usually held those roles as designated medical officers will only usually see children or their minority. But with my role, I can go up to 25 and bridge across to our providers. I sit every week on the Education, Health and Care Moderation panel to represent health, and that's embedded into our terms of reference there. think it's a really good process. It seems to work well. I've been sitting around the table since about April time, and have noticed, I think there's been a difference already just from that investment there. There's lots more that I could say, but it may be better for questions later.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Shirley Walker. I'm Head Service for Children with Disabilities 0 to 18. Social care, as you all know, the focus of social care is very much around safeguarding children, looked after children and children in need. In relation to the SEND agenda, I take the lead role for social care. Primarily, we cover 5 main service areas in social care, and the EHCPs have been a very, very small part of that in terms of completing those assessments. We have had a very slow start in completing the assessments, but what we did was we put together a template for social workers to complete. So when the requests come through for social care assessment, they have a template that they add all their information to, and that template is sent back to SEN. It has been quite slow because it's 6 weeks, but it seems like a smaller window for social workers who have a lot of other areas to cover as well. So we haven't always been as sharp as we should have been. But one of the challenges for us is that we haven't until recently been able to capture the number of EHCPs that have been completed and the requests in a systematic manner. We are now able to do that, and recently now we note that we have 513 open EHCPs across social care, which was quite a surprise in many ways, but it was quite that high. 128, 25% of those are looked after children.
Yeah.
Only 4%, which is 8%, are for children on child protection plans, and 122, which is 23.8%, are for children in need. So that will cover largely my area of children with disabilities. So it's made a huge difference for us to be able to capture that information and also develop a systematic way of adding the EHCPs to our mosaic system, which means that we can track them much more easily as well. We're in a better position for managers to note when co-production meetings have come up and are due to come up, and we are making a commitment to attend those meetings. I think one of the key areas for me with my role is I sit on the SEND panel on a weekly basis, and part of that role entails looking at social care records to see if any of the children are already known to us. And that's quite significant because when we sit around the table and we discuss the children, particularly around whether we should, whether EHCP should be started on those children, that information can be quite crucial in looking at the needs and risks and vulnerabilities of those children. Likewise, I sit on the match panel, which is a tripartite panel. It's chaired by Hal, and we look at joint funding. So when we talk about joint commissioning, that's a very key panel because we all sit and we discuss those children's continuing healthcare needs. And for those children as well, majority of them, I imagine, will have EHCPs. So we are able to move from an education panel to a health panel, and quite often we may discuss the same children, but they may not all be the same. But it gives us an opportunity to actually look at how we work jointly to support these children. So they're the main key areas for us. What we're also doing in social care is we're now created a lead admin role. So in future, all requests or EHCPs will go to the one person who will then disseminate them throughout all of the service areas in social care, and we'll be able to track them much more efficiently to try and ensure that they are returned in the time scale, because that's the other key area.
So you've sort of got a librarian, like someone just responsible for tracking, making sure that everyone plays their part.
Yeah, so she'll be disseminating them and monitoring the time timescales when they're due to return. I've been given the task recently of quality assuring them all, which is
Have
the
you?
next step, to ensure, because obviously one of the key areas I think around them, particularly for social workers, is their understanding of what information should be provided. You know, their role, as I say, is very much around safeguarding and everything else. So education, they see this as part of education. So it's about enabling them to understand, you know, the key areas and how outcomes are significant in this area as well. So we are tracking, we'll be quality assuring, and we're hoping that that's going to make more of a difference, both in terms of quality and timeliness for social health contribution. Just moving on quickly to personal budgets. We have a number of children. We have tripartite personal budgets that are at play, and we have other children who now have personal budgets. We have children who have direct payments, which some people regard as personal budgets. They're not in exactly the same way, but both provide parents with choice and control around both who they employ to support the care needs of their children, as well as services that are provided for them. I think they're the main areas that I think I'd want to highlight at this point, but again, we'll see what questions come up.
Thank you. Helen or Kate, did you want to say anything before I open it out?
No, and the only other thing that I would just say, just from a point of governance, that we do have a governance structure in place for SEND across